Nathan, would it be fair to say that over the years we have taken way too many crossovers off-road?
We're one of the few guys who do that, though, right?
Yeah, I think we're one of the only guys who do that, either up Goldmine Hill or now our new test, Rocky Top.
Right.
So in this video, we're going to give you the top 10 soft roaders, not off-roaders, soft roaders, that aren't Subarus. And why not Subarus?
Well, because Subarus, we acknowledge that they have a lot of vehicles that can do decent off-roading, but the point is that these are alternative vehicles that you may not have considered.
Yep, and the reason for this video is because Audi just announced that the brand new, not the old one, the brand new one, Audi A6 Allroad is coming back in 2020.
Yep.
And if you recall, that was Audi's twin turbo air suspension wagon that could actually go off-road.
Yeah. It was a pretty beefy car when it ran. And, so the point is that we are going to cover that new vehicle once it comes out here. We're looking forward to taking it into the Rockies. But here's an interesting list of vehicles you may not have considered.
Yeah, and these are family haulers that are also good off-road. So we're not talking Moab. We're not talking, driving up Everest. We are talking about soft roaders. These are wagons and crossovers that you can, do some light off-roading with. So let's start with number 10. And of course, that has to be the Audi, but not the A6 Allroad, but the A4 Allroad. And we've taken that off-road.
Oh yeah, we have Goldmine Hill, a whole bunch of other places, and in the snow.
Stage 2, 90-degree left turn, off camber, traction problems, everything problems. I'm asking for more power. Okay, it's responded. Okay. So it took it a few seconds to figure things out, and then it just went.
Yeah, so it starts at about $45,000, and it's basically a tall wagon with, unfortunately, no low range. I don't think any of these vehicles actually have a low range.
Well, not really, no, they don't. They have like a simulated version of it. But the thing about the Audi that I really like is that Audi really pioneered this whole segment.
With Quattro, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And the Quattro system is alive and well. Yeah, granted, there are different systems, but nonetheless, it did really well off-road, and it was a very capable small car.
Yeah, I mean, Audi is synonymous with all-wheel drive all the time, right? They were the first ones to actually take it into the World Rally Championships, and they kind of led the way for all these. So I think it's fair that the A4 Allroad is up there. And let's face it, if you're going to go to Moab, I would take an A4 Allroad to Moab. But
I would.
If you're going to go up Onion Creek,
maybe not Onion Creek, but I think there's a couple paths that I would go on, including maybe Fins and Things if you weren't watching. But the thing is that, a lot of these vehicles are great in the snow. If they can handle some light off-roading, usually that means they have a pretty good all-wheel drive system. That usually means they come with half-decent tires, but not all of them do. So there's something to think about with these vehicles and doing some light off-roading.
Yeah, and if you really want to take some of these vehicles off-road, it wouldn't take much to actually swap out the all-seasons for a little bit more dedicated, either all-terrain tire or something that's got a little bit more grip and maybe a little bit of bigger lug on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it would look cool.
Yeah, it would look cool too. And we've seen that before with several vehicles.
And actually, I would do that with this next vehicle. Number 9 is the brand new Toyota RAV4 Adventure, and there's actually a TRD Pro as well that's coming.
Yeah.
Starts at about $32,000, $33,000. It's actually the most popular car in America now.
Yeah.
So people are going to take it off-road. And let's face it, it looks a little bit better than it probably performs.
Up the hill we go, guys. A little bit of momentum. Because this does not have a transfer case like your average everyday 4x4, momentum is your friend. And as you saw, this display here was going crazy, moving the tires around, finding the traction where it needed it. That worked really well.
No, I disagree. I actually thought it did really well. It needed a proper locker or something like that to go crazy, but it actually does a really good job of making sure that there's enough torque going to all wheels. And as long as you're not going too crazy, it does really well. And I've taken it off-road, I've taken it into the snow, I've taken it onto the ice, onto a lake covered in ice. It did really well.
Yeah, and there are all kinds of different all-wheel drive systems that these vehicles bring to the table, right?
Yeah.
I think the most popular one is a front-wheel bias. So a lot of these vehicles are front-wheel, and if the front wheels start to lose traction, it sends power to the rear wheels.
Right.
None of them really have lockers, so you can't either lock a 50-50 split forward and backward, or from left to right, passenger to driver. But the system does a really good job in kind of figuring out which tire has traction and then braking the tires that don't.
That's right. And in some cases, there is a little bit of torque vectoring going on. But, well, let's continue, though, on to the next one, which actually has a really good all-wheel drive system, despite the fact it has a CVT, a continuously variable transmission. And that's a Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross, which is around $25,000. That's with the all-wheel drive system. And we put it up against a Jeep Compass. And it did really well. It did surprisingly well, even though it had really bad tires. If you put good tires on this vehicle, it would do awesome off-road.
And let's see if the rear end's gonna kick in any more power. It worked! I am really impressed. Did not expect that to work at all.
Yeah, I mean, this, has a super all-wheel control, and once again, most of these vehicles have a little bit higher ground clearance, so Subaru is always at 8.7 inches, so I kind of take that as a standard.
Yeah.
But most of these are, in that neighborhood, just a little bit below it, so you're not going to have phenomenal breakover or approach departure angles, but you will have enough to actually do some light off-roading. And I agree, the Mitsubishi has a heritage of incredible, just like Audi, all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
And the Eclipse Cross has a little bit of that heritage in its DNA.
It's the best vehicle they have for doing light off-roading currently.
Number 7 on our list is the Buick Regal TOURX. I took that off-road. Actually, I took it on a dirt road. Once again, it's a rebadged Opel.
Yeah.
Let's not mince words about it. It starts at about $29,000.
Right.
And they're having a hard time selling them, so I think you can get a good deal on them.
You can get a hell of a deal on them.
And it's a sexy beast, dude.
I think it's a good-looking car, and I love the interior. It's very comfortable, especially for tall people. And the cool thing about it is that because it's a wagon, if you want to put stuff on the roof, a bike or, toboggan or whatever Roman uses, you can do that fairly easily and not be super tall because it's not a crossover with a really high roof. It's basically a low wagon with a little bit of ground clearance.
I use a sleigh.
You use a sleigh.
I like sleighs, yeah.
Okay,
with bells on.
With bells.
Yeah, sure.
Very cool. But it's a really good deal, and it's got a great all-wheel drive system. I put it in the snow, and it did phenomenally well.
No, you drive.
You want me
Take
to
the key.
drive?
Yeah, I'll show you. Let's see if we can go over this rock. Yeah, and that's a good point. Most of these vehicles are more kind of inclement weather oriented than they are, once again, off-road, except for the next one. And I took that up a very steep hill in Utah, and this is number 6, the Kia Telluride, $33,934, with all-wheel drive, of course, not the front-wheel drive. And it's surprisingly good. I was shocked at how good it was off-road, actually.
I hear a lot of stories about it, and I think it's one of the best-looking vehicles on this list. And I think it's just like an awesome design. It's epic on the outside.
Yeah, it's a good-looking vehicle. It brings a lot of family-friendly features, and it'll go a little bit deeper than most of these tall wagons.
Yeah, I would agree with you there.
And probably come back. You're gonna love 360-degree cameras. They really make off-roading so much safer and so much more, well, just pleasant, because I can't see over the hood, but with that front-facing camera, I can see exactly what I'm about to run over or not.
Now, speaking of having vehicles that have the ability to go off-road, how about one that has the most amazing suspension setup I've ever seen in anything?
We got to roll this video, right?
Yeah, no, roll this video.
Lynn, how much would you pay for that option?
How much wouldn't you pay?
Well, there you have it. Basically, a Mercedes-Benz GLE doing a breakdance. And that's because Mercedes has equipped it with air suspension that it says, if you're stuck in the sand, can bounce its way out of the sand. What's this guy doing?
Yes.
Show me what's happening there.
Yes, that's the new free drive mode, and that shakes the body in vertical direction. So if you got stuck in the sand, then this movement helps you to get out.
Or it can dance better than, you know, your uncle who's drunk at a wedding. It's fantastic.
Now, I wasn't a big fan of air suspension because we're buying a lot of older vehicles and eventually they always all fail.
Yeah.
But I've been becoming kind of more warm to it since we've had the TOURX and the LR3, which both have it and both work. But anyway, this one has it. You get a lot of ground clearance. You can ford water. You can bounce your way out of sand. It's, I would say out of the list, it's probably the second most off-road worthy vehicle that we'll be discussing, if not the first. We looked at the number one to see what the number one is.
Yeah. Now, the next one on this list is the Volkswagen Atlas with 4Motion, because you can't get it with front-wheel drive. Don't bother if you want to go off-road. The 4Motion system works fantastic. We took it up. Not only did we take it up Goldmine Hill, but we put it up against the Nissan Pathfinder, and it absolutely destroyed the Pathfinder. It did great. It made it up the hill without much of a problem, and it had street tires on it. So it did really well. That 4Motion system worked fantastic.
Come on. Oh, you're so close. Oh, it's up on the top. It wants to go. It wants to go and it wins! Love it! I knew it!
And I'm going to have a little caveat here. If you do intend to take a vehicle off-road, I would avoid a CVT like the plague. I mean, CVTs and off-roading just really don't go together, except, of course, if you're in a side-by-side or a sled or something like that. But in cars, what ends up happening is, and we've seen this with Subarus actually, and that's why we don't get Subarus, is the car will cut power to the wheels in order to save the CVT from burning up.
Right. Now, we did mention earlier the Eclipse Cross, which does have a CVT, but that system seemed to work, and it got it over the hill surprisingly well. But that is true. CVTs tend to calm themselves down and reduce the amount of power going to them in order to preserve the transmission when they feel they're being pushed.
And you know, there's a reason we carry an extra belt in our side-by-sides and ATVs when we go off-roading.
Oh, yeah.
Because they break.
They do.
All right, number 3 is a brand new vehicle. Honda is actually saying that they want to make it off-road worthy. They want to have it go off-road because when we did the program for the new Passport, they did it in Moab of all places.
That's right. Now, I got a chance to take one of these into the deep snow and onto the ice and doing light off-roading as well. So we've done everything with this vehicle, and it's surprisingly good. And it's based on the Honda Pilot, but it's smaller, it's a little bit lighter, and it has a better departure angle to it. I mean, granted, you don't want to take it through boulders, but for the most part, it did everything we asked of it, and then it was ready for more.
So, first thing it's doing is, when needed, it can send up to 70% of the power to the rear wheels. See if it lets me do it through here. It's not doing it. Completely killed everything. Momentum's gone, power's gone, everything's gone. And it's doing it specifically to prevent me from killing myself. Once again, this is in snow mode. That's exactly what it should be doing.
But that system worked surprisingly well. And so, kudos to Honda for taking something that wasn't very off-road worthy and making it a lot more off-road worthy by cutting it and shrinking it down a little bit.
Now the next two actually are probably the most off-road worthy on this list. Number 2, of course, is the Ford Explorer. That's been, taken off-road a bunch in all its various forms and generations. And the current one also has a lot of off-road crud.
Yeah, according to Andre, crud, okay. According to Andre, it did very well. I haven't driven it yet, so I don't know for sure, but it is extremely powerful. There's crazy power on it. So, I'm curious to how it performs off-road myself.
Yeah, and avoid the ST.
Yes.
If you want to go
the ST is probably not the best choice for off-roading.
And the TRAILHAWK.
Well, they don't have the TRAILHAWK, which isn't on this list.
Yeah,
but we do have Jeeps on this list.
And they're number 1. That's why I brought it up. So if you're going to take a vehicle off-road, take the one that's not track focused.
That would be a good start.
Yes.
So the 2 vehicles for number 1 they're tied is the Jeep Renegade TRAILHAWK and the Compass TRAILHAWK. They're very similar vehicles. They have a lot of the same mechanicals, and basically the Compass is just a slightly longer version of the Renegade.
It does mean something when you get the TRAILHAWK because it is trail rated.
Right.
And so Jeep has certified this to have approach, departure, breakover angles that will actually get you off-road. So basically what the system does is it decides that there's no traction and it cuts power to all 4 wheels. And you saw it right there. He had it floored, no wheels were turning. So now he's going to try to get a little bit of momentum and get up the hill. Okay, I'm going to go a little bit faster this time.
Roman, you really pulled me out.
You know, if you're really going to go seriously off-road, I would, you know, take it up to the next level and get the Cherokee because that's got a low range.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But, you know, for $27,000 for the Renegade and $29,000 for the Compass, give or take,
Right.
You're getting a lot of off-roader for not a lot of money.
Yeah, and they're fun little commuters as well. And we've done Gold Mine Hill, and we've driven them through Moab, and we've driven the crap out of these vehicles. And we can attest that for car-based crossovers, which is what they are, they do very well in every environment that we put them in.
And as always, we like to do a bonus. And I just thought of this one because I recently took it off-road. Any of the Volvo cross countries, and we've got the V60 here for $45, but any of the cross countries actually do give you a little bit more ground clearance.
Yeah.
Once again, not something that you want to take, you know, into Moab, but certainly a dirt road, sand, soft, mud, that kind of thing you could probably do. Nathan, I'm sure we've forgotten some.
Yes, and that's your guys' job. Help us out. See if this list, obviously it's incomplete, so try to add a few to this and see which, which vehicle you would buy.
Yeah, we'd love to get your experience and, of course, your suggestions for which soft roader that you would take off-road. As always, this is Roman.
And Nathan.
Saying thanks for watching. Remember, check out tflcar.com for more news, views, and, of course, top 10 soft roader that aren't Subaru reviews. See you guys next time. Ciao.